It's official. Kevin Durant is coming back to the Lone Star State. Join me to talk about it. Shawn Clynch, Stories Inside the Man Cave. Shawn, how are you reacting to this news?
You know what? I think any organization in the state of Texas that picks up a Longhorn legend, even though he was only at UT for one season, but was by far the best player in the country at that time, and KD is one of those once in a generation type players. You know, I think it's good. I think a lot of people in the state of Texas who may have not been interested in going to a Rockets game, they'll make their way to the Toyota Center now. Um, it just kind of dawned on me because this will be his fifth NBA franchise, and
Yeah,
he's on the backside now of his 30s. So this contract may get him to age 40, and this may be his final stop.
it's interesting for a guy that he said before in the past that if he could just hoop and play video games, that's what a dream life would be essentially.
Right.
So, yeah, I do wonder how much left in the tank Kevin Durant has. But if you're the Rockets, you're willing to take the gamble at least for a couple of years because let's break down this trade a little bit. So you give up Dillon Brooks, you give in Jalen Green, one first round pick, so this year's 10th overall pick, and then a handful of second round
Wow.
picks. So how do you feel about that haul, essentially? Do you think it's appropriate for someone of Kevin Durant's skill level?
I think even though you could start to see a little bit of the age catching up with him, but he's still a great pure shooter. I mean, the guy averaged what, 26 and a half points per game this year. But if you look at what Houston accomplished this season, they were the number two seed in the Western Conference, right behind Oklahoma. But I get Oklahoma City, but I get that was a huge difference between one and two. But it doesn't matter. It matters what you do in the playoffs. And Houston's given up a lot, in my opinion. They've given up a lot, but they could be where they were this season potentially. It's just I feel like you're giving up a lot for that guy. KD, great human, great player. Um, I don't know, man, because it's 54 points, what, 7 million for this next season. He could sign an extension July 6th. So we're looking at upwards around $122 million contract
Yeah.
plus what he's making this year. I don't know. It's hard to read because on paper, it does look like Houston's giving up a lot. I mean, people will I'll tell you what my nephew said in Houston. He texted me right after you did this morning, and he's a Rockets fan. He hates Oklahoma City, by the way. But he said we're giving up quite a bit of assets or a lot for KD. I
Yeah.
don't know yet. I'll really have to analyze it on paper. It does look like a lot.
I do think that they lost a little bit of their edge because I look at a guy like Dillon Brooks, who love him or hate him. He's that scrappy guy that a lot of teams really benefit from having on
Right.
the roster. But then you give up a guy like Jalen Green, who's 23, been 4 years in the league, and he was great his rookie season, but he's never really developed into anything more than that. He's never put on a little extra weight, so he's getting bullied around offensively, defensively. You question whether or not he's a liability on the court at times. And then you look at the Golden State series where Jalen Green's given them a whole nothing burger in a series in which, they're trying to get the monkey off their back whenever they go to
Right.
against Golden State. So you can't have liabilities like him on the court, but also how much do you judge a guy like that when you know it's his first postseason? It's the Houston Rockets' first postseason in the post James Harden era.
Yeah.
It was hard to evaluate what Jalen Green could necessarily be. But if you're the Rockets, okay, we have this roster only for a finite amount of time, so we want to try and maximize that. Now, my question, and this is something we discussed because a little behind the scenes, we actually recorded on Saturday, but then this trade decided to just blow everything out of the water. So this is take two for us. But one thing that I question is Kevin Durant's going there and he's expected to be the number one guy. He's
Yeah.
expected to be the A alpha on this team. And he really hasn't occupied that role in a very long time. It's probably, you can argue going back to even like the OKC days,
Agreed.
because when he was in Golden State, it was 1A, 1B with him and Steph Curry. So now, okay, you look around the construction of this team, Sengun, a fine player, a still developing young player, but he's not really an alpha. No, I don't look at him at that. I look at Fred VanVleet. Yes, he's an NBA champion, but he's never had to be the alpha on his team. That's all going to fall on Kevin Durant. And I don't know if he's necessarily that guy anymore at this point in his career.
It's hard to tell because make no bones about it. The fact of the matter is he is at the tail end of his career. I think they're going to look upon him. Now, I want to know, they'll look upon him as the guy, the leader on the floor. And you're right. He really wasn't that guy since the OKC run and leading up to 16-17 when they blew that 3-1 lead to Golden State in the Western Finals.
Now, I guess you could say the Nets time, but even then, it seemed like they were trying to defer leadership amongst that big three between him and Kyrie.
It's really tough because you want to say no, he can't be that guy, but I still feel like he is that alpha. But what else can Houston add to their roster?
Right now, in the immediate future, a shooting guard, because at this point, they really don't have that role occupied on their roster. Now, hey, credit to them, too. They didn't really have to give up any of their deeper pieces, like a young developing star like Amen Thompson. They get to keep him around, which I think if a lot of trade analysts were saying that guy's gone in a KD trade, it didn't happen. In fact, again, just one first-round pick here and then a lot of second-round picks, which if you're the Suns, I feel like you have to feel a little bit disappointed, not only that it didn't really work out during the Kevin Durant era with your franchise, but also that the return, it's not really sexy, right? I mean, second round picks are a dime a dozen in the NBA. Maybe if you're lucky, they turn into a Draymond Green, but that's a very rare thing. You're not finding Nikola Jokic out there, like, except for a 1 in a million shot, basically. So I do find that the Suns, Matt Ishbia, they have to be just kicking themselves over how this thing went. Could you imagine, honestly, spending tens of millions of dollars in luxury tax only to miss the playoffs after having a big three of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker? So the Suns have to be feeling at a low point in their tenure, how their roster looks in a couple weeks. I'm confused because they have a whole bunch of guards and a whole lot of nothing else.
You know, with the draft coming up quickly approaching, we're days away, literally. You would think what Phoenix would do with those assets. Now they have there's going to be some trading going on. I would venture to say, Phoenix, because they now can. I don't know what they could do with it, but
they can't trade Bradley Beal. We know that.
Trade him, but trade those draft picks to maybe move up. But when you look at the whole picture with this KD situation, Houston was on his short list of teams: Houston, San Antonio, Miami. But there was, I don't know if this has been confirmed, but there was a proposal for a 3-team trade involving Golden State. And KD reportedly declined on that because he didn't want to return to his former organization he played for.
Are you referring to the mid-season point or right now? Because I do know that happened mid-season where Golden State had an offer on the table, but like you said, Kevin Durant shut it down. The rumor there is that he just didn't want to move mid-season. So that's why it wasn't a matter of if the Suns were going to trade Kevin Durant, but it was a matter of when, and when is now.
He said, because he's been through this. He knows how the business works. He understands, hey, I understand why they want to trade me. Why don't we just finish the season and get it done then when nothing really changes? Because he alluded to, and you're right, he was quoted as saying, it is really hard on a team to lose their teammates, and then all of a sudden you add someone like him to the locker room, and it's not guaranteed to provide any type of success. I mean, look,
Jimmy Butler looked pretty good for Golden State down that stretch run.
Jimmy was phenomenal. Was phenomenal. But it is an awkward situation
Yeah.
to be in. I mean, look at Dallas and the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, you Dallas obviously they just imploded post trade,
Yep.
but it was deserved when you trade away a superstar in their prime in Luka. The Lakers did take a little bit of time to acquiesce to one another, but it eventually worked out. I personally am of the belief that if KD was traded to the Golden State last year, that he would have fit in seamlessly because him and Steph would have just worked off each other like they used to. But
Reconvened.
yeah, now it's interesting going back to bringing it back to Houston. So looking at how they compare to that Golden State when we saw the best version of what Kevin Durant could be. Fred VanVleet, he's absolutely what you call the greater value version of a Steph Curry. He's not exactly Steph Curry in his prime or even on a bad day. So I don't know if we look at the Rockets to think those two are going to become a 1A, 1B type situation. But I do think that one thing of note is going to be the Ime factor. Can Ime get the most out of Kevin Durant in the back half of his career? Because there is a respect there. They did work with each other when they were both with the Brooklyn Nets. However, I hate to say it too here, but it does feel as though Kevin Durant has been a little bit of a coach killer these last couple of years. I mean, you look at what happened with the Nets between Steve Nash, Jock Vaughn. You look at what happened in Phoenix, Mike Budenholzer, and how his tenure went over there. And I can't help but feel as though if you're Ime, I know you just signed an extension, but now you got one of those curmudgeon, older, veteran type players who commands a lot of respect in your locker room. And this is probably the most star power he just infused on his team because even with the Boston Celtics, you still had a young Jason Tatum. You still had a young Jaylen Brown, moldable stars, not really superstars. Kevin Durant is a superstar, and that can really change a team's chemistry right out the way because he knows what he wants. He knows what he's going to get what he wants most of the time. And that's why coaching and situations with Kevin Durant haven't really worked out recently.
We'll see. I think it will be. I think Houston will still be in the mix. I don't know about 2 seed in the West. I don't know, but they'll be top 4 or 5.
Yeah, we did this exercise too before pre-trade, but let's look at the West again, right? Okay, so Houston, you went to a game 7 against Golden State last year. Golden State got the best of you. With Kevin Durant, are you better than Golden State this year? Shawn, what do you think? Yes, no.
You're not better.
Not better than Golden State. Okay. Well,
Whoa, wait. Hold on. This year, hold on. Let me rethink that. I do think.
one more year older Steph Curry, Draymond,
Yeah,
another
I
year
do
older.
because come on, you got two. KD's familiarity knows that group all too well. So Rockets, yeah, I do. But
Okay.
yes,
Timberwolves, this Rockets team better than the Timberwolves?
no.
Better than the Nuggets?
Matchup wise, I think it would be 6 to 7 games.
Okay. And then the big one, I mean, they're in the finals right now. OKC.
No,
No. Okay. So we're still talking about a middle tier West team with the aging veteran who, let's face it, too, this is another equation. Health is going to be a big concern for Kevin Durant. He was actually pretty healthy last year, but that's an outlier in the post Achilles
yeah.
tear era of
Oof.
Kevin Durant. So I want to see how that holds up. So those are my keys, right? Kevin
Yeah.
Durant's health, how he jives with Ime, how does that work together? And then just who is the alpha on this Rockets team? That's all the questions I want to see answered in this first season. And if they can figure all that stuff out, then yes, this Rockets team will be a force. They'll be among one of the better teams in the Western Conference. The best
I agree with that.
Western Conference, I'm not sure, but that is going to make this season a lot more fun to watch. Certainly, if you are a Houston sports fan, get excited. I mean, Astros good, Texans good, and Rockets good. Good times to be in H-Town. Am I right?
Yeah, it's been a while, and it pains me to say that because I'm not a Houston sports fan.
Yeah,
But you're
I,
right. You're right.
I've
You're
seen
right.
it pointed out to OKC Thunder fans. What do they think? Westbrook became the Rocket. Harden became a Rocket. Kevin Durant
You
became a
completed
Rocket.
it. You completed the hat trick of former Thunder. But hey, did you happen to see? And if you whoever's watching and listening right now, go check out how Kevin found out the trade to Houston was finalized, he was on the stage of a Fanatics
Yes.
convention in New York City, and the hostess, the host, she said something about alluded to, "Hey, you're going to be a Houston Rocket," and he just kind of smiled and he goes, "We'll see."
And enjoy it. Enjoy that there was smiles on his face now. Rockets fans, you have signed up for the Kevin Durant experience. We'll see if it works out for you. Anyway, Shawn Clynch, Stories Inside the Man Cave.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining me today, man.
absolutely. Anytime, brother.
For the day ones, the diehards, the first timers, the old timers, for all the rivalry matches, buzzer beaters, and come from behind miracles. It's not just stats and wins and losses, it's the moments, the shots you can't believe went in, the times you can't do anything but believe. And it's all streaming right here on your connected TV anytime on Fox Local.
The Sports Office, streaming anytime on Fox Local.